Good morning, good evening, whatever it is, wherever you are, YouTube. So it's MOT, or in the States, inspection day again. Not for a Yamaha FZR this time, but for this is a 1992 CBR 600. It was given to me by a very close friend a number of years ago, actually, about 5 years ago. And he had it as a project. Just realised he was never going to get round to it, a new family and a house move and all sorts of other things. It all transpired against him. And he says to me, he said, look, take it on, do whatever you want with it, break it for spares, or use it as it is, whatever you want to do with it. And I had sort of restored a bike almost from the ground up previously, but I'd left the engine and swing arm in the frame, a few other bits and pieces on that one, because the bike was in already in decent shape. But this one wasn't originally intended to be a restoration, so I've been relocated to Lutterworth, which is up near Leicester, so I have about a 50-mile each way journey to work. And in this journey I thought, well, I don't want to use my car every day because it's going to cost me a fortune, so this bike will be perfect. As it is, things worked out differently. I had quite a serious accident beforehand, and I knew there was just no way I was going to be going to work on a bike for a long time, so I thought, well, I'll tidy up this CBR and use it as the cloudy day bike, which of course is what the FZR is now. That'll be my cloudy day bike, and we'll use it, you know, days where there's a bit of a chance of rain. And as I started working on the frame, which is where the bulk of the cosmetic issues were, the more paint I stripped back, the more rust and corrosion and corruption I found. Very soon it turned from a quick tidy up into a total restoration. So it's restored from the ground up. Every last nut and bolt has been done. I spent quite a lot of money on it, more than the bike's worth in all honesty, but that's not why we do restorations. And unfortunately it has now become a bit of a perfect weather only bike. So a little bit nervous today going for the MOT because there are some clouds around. But I'm not expecting any issues, but what we're going to do is, after we've been through our inspection, hopefully come back with our pass certificate, I'm just going to run through a few points for anyone buying a bike who might not realise what the MOT is. There are a number of things you can easily get caught out with, but also there's a number of things which actually are very simple to resolve if they are a failure point. You don't have to rush your bike straight into the dealers. We're going to have coming up some videos for new bikers, things that you're afraid to ask, because one of the things that's come across quite a few times is that new riders seem to have difficulty getting good, solid, basic information. So a lot of things that just for some reason people assume everyone already knows can be quite difficult to find out, and they ask on forums and seem to get ridiculed or abused or bad information. So I'm going to go through a few videos doing the basics of bike maintenance and repair as well. But yeah, the first one, which may be on this video, maybe a second one, I haven't decided yet, will be just the basics of what's covered in an MOT. There isn't a lot to it, and it's quite easy to take a bike for an MOT inspection with at least a good, solid chance of coming home with a pass certificate. So here we go again at the lovely little village of Stoke Goldington. That's my favourite MOT station, Gardner and White. If you're in the Buckinghamshire, Bedfordshire, Northamptonshire area, really about the best MOT station out there in my opinion. Well, there we go, inspection passed, not a surprise. So what does the test actually involve? Well, it's actually quite common sense. The inspector's going to look for your tyres, they're going to be looking for good condition, at least 1mm of tread, which is a legal minimum, no exposed cords, no obviously perished rubber. They're going to look for the brake discs, are they excessively worn, are they warped? And the bike will go into a brake roller to check air performance, and of course the brake calipers, no leaks, and the pads are in good condition as well. Moving up, the forecoil seals, if you've got the slightest haze here, you may get away with that as an advisory, but the general rule of thumb is no leaks. If the rotator's fitted, the tester can't remove them, so
it's not the way to do it, but if you've got a slight weep and you've got gaiters on, you might get away with it. They're going to check the function of the horn, condition and function of the headlight, as well as the aim and the function of indicators. And if indicators are fitted, they must work. The steering head bearings will be checked by rocking the front wheel backwards and forwards, or the fork legs backwards and forwards, and checking for play. And there must be no notchiness or excessive play in the bearings. Of course, they can be adjusted down here with these adjusters if need be, provided it doesn't make them too tight. They're going to look for condition of the levers, controls, brakes. Are they nice and firm? Don't come back to the bar. If they come back to the bar, at the very, very, very least, that's going to be an advisory. It's probably going to be a fail. The speedo isn't an MOT requirement, so that's really best ignored because there is no way of testing it. Mirrors where fitted just need to be secure, though again there is no requirement for mirrors. They're going to be checking for any obvious fuel leaks, anything that could present a hazard. The swing arm bearings, give the back wheel a rock, side to side at the top for the wheel bearings, and right at the end give it a side to side, see if you can detect any play in the swing arm bearings. Any lack of damping in the rear suspension will be a fail as well. And one of the most common fails is an absence of a rear reflector. Number plate must be a legal size, and depending when it was issued, must have the postcode and BS mark on it. The exhaust, they're going to be looking for a BS stamp if fitted, and they're going to be looking to make sure it's not excessively noisy, it's secure, because of course that's something that they want to check isn't going to fall off, and it doesn't leak excessively. And noise is down to the tester's discretion, but they generally say not excessively noisy. Brake lines and rear brakes are the same checks as the front, just to make sure they're in good condition and the pads are all good. In this case we can see they certainly are. And the brake hoses, are they secure, not going to foul anything, and no obvious leaks. The rear brake, like the front, they're looking for a nice firm lever and a good return. One of the other things that gets overlooked is the throttle. It must snap straight back. You can't have a throttle that sticks at all. That is exactly what they're looking for. So it's not an exhaustive list, but that's a general guide to the things they're going to be looking for. And one of the biggest clues is just the overall condition of the bike. If you've got something that's in very nice shape, like the CBR is, then the odds are you're probably not going to find 100 horror stories hiding under it. If it's an old rat bike, then maybe you want to be a bit more particular over the things that are going to be checked. So this is by no means an exhaustive list, but it does give you an idea of how to get your bike through the MOT the first time. Another thing just to be sure of, just give the bike a quick start up, and you're going to look. There is no specific emission requirements for older bikes like this one, but they will be looking for any obvious visible exhaust smoke if the tester starts the bike up. That's a disputed area, whether or not that's actually possible. So you're looking for the headlight, and you're also looking just to make sure high beam works, and the pilot light, which is often overlooked. Your indicators want to be flashing at a reasonable rate, and they need to be good and clear and visible. Brake lights and tail lights obviously are a no-brainer, they're going to be checked, and everything's working how it should do, and they'll give the horn a beep as well. So there you go. That's certainly not an absolute definitive list of things that are checked in the MOT, but it's a good strong starting point and a good place to look. If you check all these parts and you're looking at the general condition of the bike, you are going to find that realistically you've got a fighting chance passing your MOT first time. There's always going to be something an experienced tester might spot that you don't, but at least it's going to give you the right grounding. Please do hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. There'll be plenty more coming up, and we've got some interesting things coming up, including some workshop projects both on bikes and some four-wheel stuff. So there's going to be something quite different coming up very soon. So stay tuned, hit the subscribe button, and see you soon.